Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Talk Trackmania. It's Tuesday the 12th of October and we are on episode I don't know what number, and I'm back once again with Mr. Shorty and LuckersTurbo. I'm your host TMScotsman, back once as always. It is Tuesday, it is a little bit past our usual time, but you can blame me for that. Yeah, Erwin saved us, not to worry. As always, Erwin carrying the podcast from the background. But yeah, we are back. We are back once again. How are you guys both doing?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. No, I mean, university started, obviously. I mean, not obviously, but university started for me. So I'm actually a little bit stressed out because it's full-time university and like getting thrown into it for the first real time. Everything like being on location now and nothing being online anymore. It's definitely something to get used to. It's basically like the first semester experience that I now have in my third semester. It's kind of weird, but yeah, also some stuff with a project that we are now gonna cancel as a group because it's just not going anywhere and stuff like that. But overall, I'm happy about it. Like finally things are like as a normal student life, and I'm enjoying that. It's just a little bit stressful to get used to it the first couple of weeks because like when you don't really know when is what, when do you have to finish stuff, you know, it's a bit complicated the first like 2 or 3 weeks. But I'm getting there. It's already getting better now, and I had a nice day. What do you? I'm always so shit at the beginning. I have no idea. My brain just needs to like get into it first. What about you, Guy?
Yeah, firstly, happy birthday to you, Toby.
Thank you.
He's turning 19 today, yeah. still very young.
People are actually gonna believe you if you say that.
Yeah, but no, I think you turned 26.
6.
Okay.
26.
Oh, you're old man.
Yeah, so wait, all of our birthdays are within like 30 days, basically.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
And how old did you turn, Kai?
I turned 24.
Oh, fuck you then. I turned 26. So I am, how many?
The oldest.
I am about 16 days older than Shorty.
Yeah, something like that.
Feels bad, man.
Yeah, you're an old boomer, mate. What can we say? And I'm the young guy now. I actually feel good because I think I'm old.
He's the youngster in the podcast.
Yeah, but
And I would say you look the oldest out of us. I think that's just because you've got the beard.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but here, that's what counts.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
That's what counts.
Yeah, we can clearly see where that got you.
Yeah, exactly. That has gotten me. I'm still young. That's why I'm doing that. Still clumsy, still staying young. But hey, anyways, I'm also doing great. My arm is hurting a bit more than previous week, but hey, it's going better. Especially here, like where the fracture was, you know, here. And like just my wrist is hurting a bit, but because I'm just working all the time. But yeah, I was very productive today as well. Had a good day, but unfortunately, university for me is not starting because all of my exams or seminars would be practical. So hey, what can I do? English, I still have to write 2 exams, and then there's 1 seminar that I'm attending. But there's not too much going on for me because those things are also online. But I think I'm gonna visit some lectures like when my arm is ready, but also typing with one hand fast for a lecture. That's not working too well, I can tell you that. I'm always sitting here like, then I have to do this.
You know what?
It's not going good.
If I can suggest something, like you can actually like set up a keyboard layout that like works when you like hold down the key. It's like the other side of the keyboard. And apparently, I never tested this, but apparently it's supposed to be like rather easy to get used to because for some reason, like mirroring stuff with your with one hand is easy for the brain or something like that. So you have the left side of the keyboard normally, and then you like hold down the button. You like have the other half of the keyboard on the same. Like on the left side still. Like I don't know, maybe you can try that. I mean, you have enough time to like get used to that. It's actually it's an option actually.
Yeah, but I think for those 4 weeks, I'm just gonna check and also use this semester to sort out some things. Also,
that's way too boring.
Yeah, but I have so many things to do. Like there are so many things that I have to get rid of. And I think just taking a break and then just write 3 exams that I haven't passed. So my last exams in my study, is also a good idea, right? And then just attack next semester.
Yeah,
that's
true,
better
definitely.
than just stress it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm doing good, and just a relief that everything is also going accordingly. And I hope that you're also doing good, Scotty. I mean, glad to see you again. Your beautiful face, man.
That beautiful smile.
Yeah.
Don't know what to say now. I mean, I'm just going to come all overcome with emotion now that you've said that. But yeah, I'm doing well. I mean, I will say a little thing before we move forward, though. You two guys, I mean, in general, right? This is something I've always experienced since I kind of got more involved in the Trackmania scene. I guess it's just because of the age range of the people we spend time around. It seems like everyone is perpetually in university. That's just what it seems to be. All I've known Shorty, he's been in university.
I started 1 year ago.
It's like it never ends, you know, that people are learning or people are at university doing this or doing that.
I was working for 3 years already.
Okay, fair. So Shorty's a bad example. But like whenever I'm on Discord with people or whenever people, you know, back when I actually used to stream, or, you know, people would always be like, oh yeah, I've got university, I've got a lot of exams and stuff like that. And it's like, I've been hearing that from the same people for like 6 years in some cases, you know what I mean? I'm like, when does it end? Like, when are you free, you know? Or like, everyone's like, oh, that was my last exam finished. And I'm like, your last exam of like this semester, your last exam of this month, your last exam of this year, your last exam of your course, like what, your degree, like what's going on? Like, I'm so like overwhelmed by all of this kind of stuff. But yeah, I'm doing very well, thank you. I've just finished my just finished my first event and my new job.
Oh shit.
With yeah, so that's all went really well, although I did have to pull some really late nights for that, which was not ideal. But that is the nature of working for a company which does have a lot of events ran in America. So yeah, lovely to have everyone here while you two fucking jokers recover. Lovely to have everyone here. So what we kind of had a little envisioning of was running through Trackmania Grandleague, of course, before it starts, as that is going to be, of course, the showpiece event of at least the next few months. And yeah, it's always an occasion coming up to Trackmania Grandleague. We've got some new players coming in. We've got a shake up to the casters. We've got some new and some refurbished maps, if we'll say it like that. And yeah, I mean, coming in with now the new point system, which will be displayed for the first time. We've got a lot of new kind of... Like Trackmania Grandleague's had a little bit of a polish to it, shall we say. Whether it's going to come out with a positive result and we're going to be all happy and everything's nice and shiny, or whether, you know, someone's left a big mark on it and, you know, we need to go back another season and, you know, sort that out kind of thing. But yeah, we are, I think it's starting this weekend, actually. This is the week that Trackmania Grandleague does start. And before we kind of jump into things, so to speak, I mean, Turbo, you've been officially announced now as a caster for Trackmania Grandleague. Give us your kind of thoughts on how you perceive this season from, I suppose we can now say you're one of the inside players, so to speak, albeit, of course, you would have known for a while, you know, your chances of being part of the caster game, shall we say. But how are you looking forward to Trackmania from the inside?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it's the 4th season and I'm not really like thinking like onwards to that, but I can just talk about the season. I think that the season will be quite interesting because there are players like Peck and Carl Jr. returning to Trackmania, and they will just show again that they are the best, I think. But it's just different or interesting to see because now we have a different composition, and also me casting together with an influencer that is maybe not that used to Trackmania is also like something that I've not had in the past before. Of course, I was casting together with various Trackmania casting, not talents, but casters, let's say it like that.
Let's say talent, that sounds nice.
But it just sounded like so like far away because they're like my colleagues and not like people that they're talents, you know? That's what I know from them. But it will be interesting to see, and also how many viewers the English cast will get, because now we have like a global stream. I mean, virtual stream was kind of the global stream beforehand as well when he was casting for Riolu. But now, of course, we have 5 English casts with Geek, Harry and me, and Smith, Ethel, Yannick, and Magi, and I'm looking forward to see how...
Yannick is also going to be casting.
Yeah, I said that, but yeah, like the POV cast, and then also the global stream cast. So it's like 5 for... Oh, okay, it's all good. But yeah, I don't know, view-wise and also interesting-wise, if people might have more interest in the cast because my channel has also blown up. I don't know. I'm hyped for that, but it's also not on my channel, so it's a bit not Trackmania related. And yeah, I don't know what my kind of my prediction is or how it will go. I'm just taking it step by step, like the Trackmania Grandleague.
And I mean, coming into this season, obviously we have a lot more changes in regards to like the point system. We've got changes in regards to some of the new players coming in. Of course, we now have Worker and Binks coming in. I mean, with the kind of new additions to the league, Shorty, if I can ask you this, do you feel more excited about this season of Trackmania Grandleague? Do you approach the season with any sort of apprehension or anxiety in that kind of sense, or are you looking forward to seeing a lot of the changes of players and systems in action?
Well, you know, the thing is, even though I'm not like particularly playing the game that much, at least like grinding or stuff like that, like playing tournaments, I'm still viewing it sort of like from the player's perspective. So something that makes me like really looking forward to the new season is just the point system itself already. I mean, I don't really care that much about the casters changes, you know, like as an individual, I have like how many casts, like 10, 11, 12 casts to choose from. So like one of them I'm gonna like find that I'm gonna enjoy, you know. That's not something I think about too much, because it's impossible for me to like watch all of them anyway, right? Like how am I supposed to like both watch Kai and Eri and also at the same time find out maybe it's like then maybe also I mean, I can't watch the French ones obviously, but like also like the new German one with Röder, like I can't watch both anyway, right? So I'm just gonna have to like find one and stick to it. But I'm really looking forward, because new point system makes it way more like bearable for me. Like when I was watching it every single round, I was like every single time someone was like in the top 9 or something like that. Maybe not in the first map, but like at the second or third, fourth map. Like when somebody wasn't in the 9th place, I was like, yeah, I fucking hate this game as well, mate. like I don't know, like it's I don't know. It was so weird to watch that. I don't know. I just couldn't watch it and like be excited about it. Like somewhat excited, yes, but I was not looking forward to the next week because of that. Because in like same as the players, I was just going out of the TMGL cast like, yeah, I'm kind of depressed as well now because of the players that lost so many points, right? And now I can just go into it and like be hyped for the last map and like just see them like get multipliers. It's so much more like positive, because instead of like trying to like survive and not lose something, they can just risk and try to gain something instead. It's just a way more, and it's a way better system on paper, in my opinion, which definitely makes me happy about the new season, and I'm looking forward to it. I don't know how much of it I'm gonna watch. I don't know how much of the Challenger series I'm gonna watch. Like at some time, but I think I'm just gonna see how it goes. You know, I'm definitely interested in it. I think I'm gonna watch it first, and I think I'm gonna enjoy it way more than before, because I already was watching it before, right? So it can't get worse, right? I mean, I think we all agree that the changes, basically almost all of them, are positive. I mean, you can think about the casters and how much more views they're gonna bring in, but I don't care about that. That like as a spectator, right? Like as a spectator, do I care how many people are watching with me? I mean, somewhat because of the chat interaction, maybe, but the cast doesn't like change because of that, right? So true. I don't care about that. I just want to like have a good cast in front of me. If Eri is doing a good cast, I don't care if he has like 200,000 followers on Twitter or not. If it's good, it's good. If it's bad, I'm just gonna, you know, that's how it's gonna go.
Fair point. I agree with that. I mean, I also never really care about the viewing numbers unless the match is really good, and I think that in the last couple of seasons there was like maybe 1 or 2 steps where I was like, yeah, this was not my step, because I just didn't feel good, or maybe Pack just got denied, got 9th place or something like that. But yeah, I think also here without the point loss, it's very cool. Of course, we still have the tremendous points deduction from P8 to P9. I think it's from 15 going down to 5 points from those two positions, because for P8 you still get a lot of points. So that will be still something to look out for, but you still don't lose your points. So you can still have one good map and then also multiply your points afterwards, so you will be fine again. And then maybe can even secure your spot on that first day already. I mean, just imagine Carl Jr. just getting, I don't know, 80 points and then multiplying them by 5, and then he has 400 points or something like that on the first step. And then he's like, yeah, see ya guys, I'll not join the other ones.
Oh, there are gonna be more people with that as well, though. Like, now that you can't lose points, like, it doesn't matter if you like have multiplied by 3 or multiplied by 4. Like, over the course of multiple weekends, you can definitely like gain some serious points.
True that, actually. True that, because there are also 8 steps now. So he's not safe when he gets 400 points in that first step. Theoretically, of course, he will still collect points. But yeah, well, I mean, I also had this idea in my mind when we are talking about that, because I was talking about my channel blowing up. Of course, no one got hurt there. So a little bit of a pun there from Nelly, but I like this one. But, you know, there were so many new people coming into Trackmania, like literally so many people. And how will this all develop? It will be exciting to see, also with the Challenger series, how much interest there will be, because everyone knows that the Trackmania Grandleague is going to happen this weekend. There was good advertising on Twitter, good announcements, in my opinion, better than last time. And now we know, okay, this is going to happen. Those people will cast. And I think they've done it way better than that. And yeah, I just really like that, and I hope that this will also attract more viewers, and hopefully Trackmania Grandleague will blow up and eventually goes to the place where it belongs, like Trackmania Esports in this case. Not the whole format, it's of course something different.
So if I can get pick your guys' brains about this, I kind of present a question to both of you. Now, a lot of people have kind of unanimously, well, no, I won't say unanimously, a lot of people have suggested that the previous point system was unfair. Wouldn't necessarily say flawed, because as I always advocated, it wasn't a point system, you know, with a lot of points lost made to be fair. It was made to create drama, you know, get emotion going in these Twitch chats for these players and so on and so forth. Now we see that transitioning to a different point system where instead of going into the last stages or phases, you are then going in with risk of loss. You're now going in with potential of gain. So it's a different way to look at the same kind of process, so to speak, in the sense of your overall step fate can be very much still hanging in the balance going into the end of it. However, it's going with a positive feeling of, oh yeah, maybe I can, you know, hit the jackpot and really pick up my points, so to speak. Or, instead of, oh no, I'm really at risk of having a terrible step here and losing all of my points. Now, how do you think this will translate to the viewing experience, in the sense of the transition of tension, if I will word this correctly? Before, we had the tension that kept people glued to their seats all the way through the later stages, and not only glued to their seats, but deeply invested in this and also emotionally invested. You had people who would come out after a stream with their driver feeling dejected because their driver had lost out, you know, and that was, you know, the driver's feelings were often matching the viewer's feelings in that kind of sense. Do you think this new system will be able to instill such an emotional reaction going forward, or at least do you think it will have the same impact? Because that's what this was all about. It isn't about what's a fair point system and what's not a fair point system. It's what point system keeps the most bums in seats and keeps people most invested. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a good question, but I think there's one clear answer for me, because now we have like not the point loss, but the gap between 8th and 9th, which we clearly going to look out for. So you want to be in the top 8, the better that we're going to focus on. And of course also the 100 euro for winning a map again, that is also on the line. Of course, that will also be something interesting. I think that is still on the line, right? The 100 euro for winning.
I'm not sure. It wasn't last season, I don't think so. I've not checked it over.
I'm also not sure, but I read that somewhere. Maybe someone in the chat knows, but if this is on the line, then it would be good to have that back, or it will be good. but I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe someone in chat knows better. But this is the battle we are focusing on right now, and I think the more we progress throughout the match, the more this last map comes into the mind. Oh, the last map is coming up. You know, how many points is he getting? He has only 20 points. He has only 40 points. He has 80 points. You know, and then the last map really matters. And then the viewers are asking themselves, when is he going out? When is he cashing out? When is he trying his best? Will he DNF the first round maybe? Will he not try to do it? Will he just warm up? You know, all those questions we will ask. And I think it will be more tension, but not that long, you know, if this makes sense.
Yeah, because it's only one map instead of
3
or 2, whichever it's been at different points. I mean, Shorty, from a player perspective, how would you feel kind of approaching this sort of situation, you know, mentally, shall I say?
I mean, we already know that even though it's like an endurance kind of format, you definitely like want to be in the top 8 instead of top 9. So now with there's like, I mean, you still like get a lot of, like, you don't get a lot of points, but it's still somewhat maybe rewarding a little bit of risk on certain maps, because you want to get those high points on like I mean, you still just want to get top 8, but I think, you know, the main thing that it maybe changes, before you just had to be fully prepared on all maps, because if you just dropped out in one map, you had no chance, and especially the later maps, it was really devastating. But now that you have like this last map where you have the different mode and just the multiplier, you have to think about, is that a map where I can be good? I mean, yes, in finalist situations, like something that I personally always felt like, it's really difficult to say, yeah, this is a good map for me, this is a bad map for me, because like every single round is individual. Like sometimes rounds are faster, sometimes rounds are worse, sometimes you are just gonna like get good run in the wrong map. Like especially like you might remember this as well, Scotty, like back in the days with Gamers Assembly and Cup mode. You have maps where you think like, yeah, I'm really good on this map, and then you have maps where you're like, I don't feel confident. But in matches, sometimes it's just the reverse way, you know? And that's also something you have to like sometimes watch out in those final situations, also in the TMGL. But when you know that your last map is not a good map, especially with so many players, because with so many, if you have like 4 players, a bad round is easy, right? A bad round easily happens quite sometimes. But with 16 players on like driving for the win, maybe an easy round won't come, you know? So like you might wanna think about, okay, yeah, I know, like if you think about like when do you want to try and win, and if you know it's a good map for you, maybe it's worth waiting a little bit to try and get like the high multiplier. But if you don't know, if you already know, okay, yeah, this is not the greatest map for me, it's not worth it trying, you know? Like just try it. Okay, I think the first round doesn't matter, or does it? I think the first round already does matter. Just try to win the first rounds. Like, why would you even try, right? It's not worth it. I mean, yes, in theory, if you're like really lucky and get the good run, you can try to get the higher multiplier. But I think it's not worth it, you know. Like, I would just try to like always just get like win the first 1, 2, or 3rd round, and just try to get always like sometimes top 8. Like that's what I would just go for. I wouldn't be the player that says, okay, yeah, I can win every single round. I don't need to win the first 3 rounds. I can win the 5th round. I can get the high multiplayer. I don't have the confidence for that. I would just try to like you don't want to win, right? You don't want to win. You just want to get in the playoffs. Like that's your goal, or in my opinion, that should be your goal. Basically, just get into the playoffs, and for that you don't need the best positions. You just need to like somewhat get through, like always be prepared, and then just take the easy multipliers in the beginning couple of rounds when people are like not perfectly warmed up on the map yet. The pressure isn't that high. Some people might still like, you know, you're gonna have like players sitting at the last map and they are like, okay, when should I actually try for it? Because like they are gonna think about it before, but when you are in that situation, you're gonna rethink it again, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's like as a player, like that would be like it's really interesting as a player. I think. Like I mean, it's Trackmania still, so it's not like you can make so many mind games about it, right? Like the system doesn't allow for that much. It's a normal point system with the first couple of like the first 4 maps is normal. You're not gonna you can try to risk a bit more or not, but it's still endurance 6 lappers. I don't know how much you can like try to risk in 6 lappers without like with the potential risk of throwing everything away. So it just comes down to the last map mostly.
Yeah. I mean, a little bit off topic there, Shorty was mentioning Gamers Assembly. One thing I always found really funny about Gamers Assembly is no matter how much I prepared for these type of tournaments, my best maps would always turn out to be my worst maps on the day, and vice versa. That's just, you know...
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a fact of science, you know?
Yeah.
It's never going to turn out the way you want it to. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to hear people being interested in... Because we've had it before where there have been Trackmania Grandleague seasons where people have been going into the season with apprehension. You know, they're not sure how things are going to work out. They're not sure if this is going to work. They're not sure. Like, for example, the last season of the season before, people weren't sure about the finals format. They weren't sure how they would like that. You know, they weren't sure if it would work as well for them, you know. But I think this is still, I mean, obviously not really knowing what to expect, but it's more of a positive emotion rather than a negative one, which is nice to see. But, I mean, moving on to the actual season itself, I understand some changes have been made, if I remember correctly, to make it a little bit easier for the players not to have to worry about training as much new maps each week and such and so on, which, of course, the casters will get into throughout this week. Is this weekend it's starting, Turbo, yeah?
Yeah, it's starting this weekend, yeah.
Yeah.
Turbo talking about how well the advertisement was. Everybody knows it's this weekend.
No, I was just
35
distracted
minutes
because
later. Is it this weekend?
Yeah, but on my Discord, like, why was my hair pink? Like, what happened there? How did this happen? Like, I'm so confused. Outside, no. Yeah, look at my Discord. It's like my hair was pink for a second.
Have it too many Discords. I'm not.
I have no idea how this was. I was so confused. Sorry, but yeah, it's starting this weekend. But can you maybe? I was a bit.
Yeah, he's checking out his purple hair. We like it. But yeah, I mean, one of the things I kind of want to move on to pick your guys' brains about is just what our expectations are for the actual content of the season, shall we say. And what I mean by that, of course, I mean, starting off with the maps themselves, I believe we have a 5 or 6 map pack. I really don't know, to be honest. But I know there's Eurosky and one more, which has been remade. Well, not remade. It's been remastered, shall we? Yeah, I know Eurosky and something else. I can't remember what the other one's called. But what are your guys' impressions of this map pack? Is it just, you know, a kind of standard expectations Trackmania Grandleague map pack? I mean, one thing I did see, and I was like, oh my god, fucking shoot me right in the face, is the return of the Nadeo identity, where it's a slalom and holes, and that's it. You know, I'm not a fan, Nadeo, not a fan. You know, we've done that 100 times before. You know, come on now. But anyway, before I get one personal gripes out of the way, what's our impression on this map pack so far?
The remakes are shit. Why you have remakes already?
No, that's so. I mean, here's a thing I heard, right, and I think it's a good way to deal with this question, right? Now, explain your opinion to me without emotion, but with reason. Okay.
They're shit because they're shit. No, of course, I'm joking. That was just a plumb statement. The maps are okay. I mean, my first impression was like, oh yeah, how can you play them? Blah blah blah. I mean, they added some cool elements. Also, this NASCAR-ish style. I really like that one. So Nadeo, if you're watching, I was only joking. Okay, the maps are okay. But I think it's a bit too early. It's a bit too early for remakes.
It's way too early for remakes, especially in this way.
Because you have a lot of good ideas on those maps, which are kind of new with this no breaks part, where you just have to release so it cannot break to adjust the turns. That is really cool, in my opinion. And I think it's on one of the remakes. It's this with the slalom ending, I think, this map. if I was recalling it correctly. But I think that there's so many identities, and also in the random map challenge, I'm playing so many Trackmania Grandleague maps that have been declined. Yeah, why not put or do identities like that? There are millions of options, and I think doing a remake already, nah, not a fan of that, to be honest. Maybe in 2 or 3 seasons, but I also don't know the point why they're thinking a remake is a good idea. Those maps were, I think, in season 1, or was that already beta season?
No, it wasn't beta season.
I think, are they even from the same season? Even if they aren't, I don't think that matters. It's just both are remakes. I mean, it's way too early, you know. Like, I have nothing against remakes in theory, but like, there's like no hype about them at all. It's just, I mean, even if they are good, it's just you're just looking at it and it just feels lazy in a way. I mean, I don't know if they like really like if they liked the remakes, if they thought it's a good idea, or if hopefully they just didn't have like enough people to like create more like new maps. But other than that, like, you can make remakes, but maybe like after like 5 seasons or 6 seasons, like a remake season, like a full remake season, where like the theme of the season would be something like that, where it's like somewhat like about it as well, you know, but not like this, just randomly throwing them in like lazy. Just why? I don't know. Like, you could have easily like just built a new map with the same new changes and adjustments to it, where it's not a remake, but still like the same sort of map in like playing wise, you know. Doesn't have to be a remake.
In terms of these maps themselves, I mean,
they can also ask me backwards.
No, stop.
They can also build something.
No, 9.
So 9 maps? Okay.
We need a full backwards map. What do you mean? That would.
It's not a terrible idea, to be honest. Like,
I mean, let's be honest. Playing wise, it can definitely make it work.
Well, I mean,
way too dang.
Don't mind this. It's just
too dang.
Just my sister calling me because.
Is this like, I thought this was like Erwin's lined up some sound effects or something like that for us, and this is just going to be, you know, like, maybe this is to do with Shorty's birthday, you know?
Imagine your sister calling you because she wants to congratulate for your birthday, and I'm just
denied.
Denied.
I'm at a podcast, motherfucker. Call me later. Anyway, so yeah, Shorty's evidently popular today. You know, we had to fight for his time. But I mean, here's a little thing. One thing I do recall from my limited involvement in Trackmania is there has been identity competitions and things like that. I believe Virtual ran one where,
true.
You know, identities were submitted and judged, and you know, that was how it kind of went through that motion. As far as I know, the remakes do have some notable changes to them. I don't think it's...
They do.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I've seen one POV run on Twitter through one map, and I don't remember it. And I've not seen the other maps. So, yeah, as far as I understand, they do have some sort of change to them in a kind of sense. But I then do join you guys in the question of why not... you know, experiment with some of these identities. I mean, we have seen through these little identity competitions that people are very creative. You know, people are coming up with ideas that even when I sit and think to myself, what would be a good identity, I hadn't even began to consider, you know, using blocks in different ways or different combinations and, or, you know, manipulating how the car would move through certain situations. You know, there's a lot of different kind of angles you can look at for a good identity. I do personally not agree with having remakes, especially in a sense where if you are going to change the map up quite a bit, then why then shoehorn an old map into it? You know, why not build a new map out of that, you know, and just kind of take it from there, so to speak. You can have, in my opinion, right, because this was an issue I had with a lot of the campaigns, not that I played them, but a lot of the campaigns that had been released when I'd heard about them, is that they were, in some cases, remakes or... well, yeah, remakes of either older campaign maps from Trackmania 2020 or remakes of older Nadeo medal maps or something in that kind of form. And the way I would see it, I would prefer to see maps which are inspired by maps like this, however, are not remakes of previous maps. That's the way I looked at it. And take inspiration either from the identity, make another way to approach this sort of thing, or make it a different route through this identities. I know the one of them that's been remade. You do a massive jump
This
into
forest thing, right?
You just gave me such a big idea, to be honest.
It's.
I mean, it would be so difficult to pull off. But imagine just the same identity, but you just drive it in a completely different way. But that would be actually finding something like that also like works well, without like changing the identity itself would be tough.
Now I'll leave that to you.
Awesome.
Shorty.
It would be
Wait,
awesome.
how do you mean that?
You just take the same blocks basically, but you just start maybe go into it from the other direction or from the side or something like that, and then you just drive it completely different than before.
What are you doing, Turbo?
But it's still the same block set basically.
I'm thinking because I cannot follow.
You're thinking like this.
Yeah, Turbo, for example, you have the same identity, but for example, just say upside down or as a wall ride or stuff or something like that,
Okay. Dude, that is again way too dank, Toby.
Yeah, it would be way too dank, but finding something that works with that would be hard as fuck, but it would be awesome.
Also, we have to play with voice commands and blindfolded.
Yeah. but yeah, I mean, the kind of route I would go for is you do not copy and paste parts of a map. You can have, as I said, inspired by a certain kind of map or identity or something like that. That's basically the way I look at it. But yeah, I mean, as long as they're good maps, I can accept the fact that they are now part of the pool. But yeah, I mean, the same kind of excitement's not going to be there because you're not thinking to yourself, how are these people going to handle this identity, or will someone come up with something new? Because we've had a season of these maps being demonstrated, so it's just one of those ones for me. I'm not too keen on the prospect itself. But enough about the maps. The most important thing, I mean, depending on who you ask, pardon me, nearly died, is the players of Trackmania Grandleague. And of course, we have 16 players awaiting to go into this next season. And I mean, we do once again have some new faces, and we do have some people who we know what to expect for, I guess we could say at some point. We have Kappa, Pack, Spam, Mudda, Aurel, Carl Jr., Papu, Afi, Bren, Gwen, Worker, Binks, Massa, Granade, and the two Orgless drivers are Scrappy and Tween. So, what do you guys think of that overall lineup? Do you think it's now a stronger lineup than last season, now that we've substituted a few out and substituted a few in?
I think that the lineup is fairly strong. I mean, a player like, for example, that we were talking about, like Binks, man, this guy is absolutely cracked. He's so fast. Like, really, he has become really good. Also, like the first time I noticed him was in 2020, where he was playing against Coco, Gwen, and Link in the final of the French regionals. And yeah, from that, his career
one thing about Binks,
up.
He used to be called Alex and previously played with teams like Metal League. So he is a player who has been around for a while. However, he was under a different name. Not a lot of people knew that.
But he improved like tremendously in the last 1.5 years. Also playing a lot of competitions. And I think a lot of people are not having him on the radar too much. So he will be the big surprise for me, as well as Worker. I mean, I have not seen too much from him, but he's also a player who is very intelligent, very versatile as well. He can be fast. Not sure how fast he's on tech, but he's also playing a lot of Trackmania Nations. I think also tech maps there, like mini tech. So he has beaten Granadi, so he has what it gets to be one of the best players. And then of course we have Granadi, kind of has the most exposure from those 3 players which are new in the league. And I think that a lot of people are overestimating him, in my opinion, and I hope that he can match that. They're like, oh, okay, he will get top 3 because they see his performance or see the performance from Granadi. I think that he can do it, but it will be extremely tough for him to keep up, even being in the top 8, and that goes for all of the 3 players. I think that they can make it. All of the 3 players have the pace, but it will be hard. And to answer your question that you asked onwards, I mean, we have the replacement of Riolu, then also Evon is not playing,
Link.
and then Link. I think the only real downside is that Evon might not be in the Trackmania Grandleague anymore. He was the strongest from those 3 players, if you ask me. Riolu, of course, was also good, but he was only consistent. Then we had Link kind of underperforming. And I hope that Worker and Binks will not fall in that way as well. Well, of course, they're all sick players. But I think that we have a stronger lineup this time around. And but I still think that maybe one of those players will drop out again.
I mean, talking about who's gonna drop out, that's tough. But I definitely agree that the lineup is stronger than before. Just it's gonna be interesting, actually. Like, I definitely think that both Grenadier and Worker are gonna be like safely in. I don't think they're gonna drop out, both of them. I just don't think they. I don't know. I don't know why, but I just don't really know much about Binks. Like, I don't. I just don't know why, but it's just the case. So I have no idea what to think about him. But like Worker and Granadi, from my point of view, they are definitely gonna keep their spots, especially Granadi. Even though Worker beat him, I still also think that Granadi is gonna do better than Worker in the TMGL. I wouldn't necessarily go that far and say Granadi's gonna go top 3, but I mean, top 8, top 5 is definitely within what he's capable of.
Yeah.
Yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to it in general, because the players are really, like, I mean, it's TMGL, right? Like, imagine a TMGL where it wouldn't be like stacked. That I don't think that's ever gonna happen, but it's definitely stacked this season, and it's definitely better than the season before, and maybe next season is gonna be even more stacked, so it's gonna be very difficult to call now, especially with the point system as well, right? I mean, they can be as good as they want. They have to perform under pressure even more than before now with the last map, with the new system. And they have to like also make smart decisions, like if they should go for it or not on the last map.
Yeah.
It's gonna be interesting to watch how they approach it even.
One downside for me definitely is that Scrappy has no orc. That is a huge downside from my opinion. Because
also Tween, obviously.
Yeah, of course, but yeah, you don't really see Tween around. Maybe also because he's not streaming, or maybe not even playing the game that much. Of course, he is the 3 times vice champion of Trackmania. He's a very fast player. He knows what to do. His mentality is on point. Yeah, he's also used to the new game. But I think seeing Scrappy's progress over the last couple of months and also over the course of this year, man, this player is so fast. And I think he will be like the player who's just annoying everyone and just don't caring about it. I'm not even sure if he has already started to practice seriously, but I think that it's too bad to see that. Yeah, I mean, it's Scrappy, but I can understand that. I mean, if you don't have an orc, you cannot win prize money from the Trackmania Grandleague. Why should you like bother too much if you still know that you can beat every player who is playing against you in the relegation? We have seen it. Scrappy has almost like he had the chance of winning the playoffs, even though he could have gotten relegated from the Trackmania Grandleague. And I think that describes Scrappy pretty good. But it's so very, very bad to see that this talented player has no organization, and that he is not really caring about that Trackmania Grandleague too much, from my understanding, of course. I'm not sure what he is doing, but I would also not care too much if I know that I cannot win any money.
Do you know what it reminds me a lot of? It reminds me a lot of Season 1 Revolution. I am under the impression, have been through for quite a long time, that Revolution would still be in Trackmania Grandleague if he had an orc in Season 1. I think Revolution was an incredible player back then, and you know, he showed that. I think in his first step, had like nearly the highest points out of everyone, and then lost it all in the last map, and since then was not really that competitive and ended up dropping out. And I think that a lot of I do see a lot of the similarity in how I can imagine Scrappy approaching this same kind of situation, of the sense of where he doesn't feel like he has much to gain that's worth his time, shall we say. I mean, of course, if it's the kind of thing that you could spend 10 hours training Trackmania Grandleague and get a decent result, then sure, I mean, there you go. That's time well spent. You know, you get your prestige associated with that. You get your name associated with high quality and continuing high quality. But to get good in Trackmania Grand Leagues, to compete on the Trackmania Grand League level, you require a lot more than 10 hours. These are some of the very best players in the world. They've proved that by getting to this stage and continuing to play at this stage. You know, we even have Carl Jr. on his bad days still blitzkrieging everyone else, it feels like, you know. It's
interesting word of choice there.
Thank you.
But okay.
Thank you. I mean, a lot of people in the English language use that without actually knowing what it means in German, but it sounds appropriate when it's coming for Carl Jr. But anyway, in his kind of case, it's like even on his bad days, unstoppable in most cases. You know, you have maybe a few players who are going to have, you know, a few players who are maybe going to be able to challenge that. But in my opinion, if I kind of give an overview of the players, I do see the likes of Scrappy definitely not going to be no lifing this season unless he, unless he views this as a motivator, gets the bit between his teeth and then he's like, right, I'm going to fight to show orgs that not only am I worthy in terms of my exposure, but I can truly call myself one of the very best players in the world, because in the cases of, outside of like Carl Jr., Pac and Gwen, those three are on another level, in my opinion. And then you have the others who are, close by that. But these players want to break into that sort of faction, so to speak. And in terms of the players themselves, I mean, I'll make what I would say is a bold call, but it doesn't really feel like it. I feel like at least two of the new players is going to be in the bottom two. So either two of Grenade, Worker or Binks is going to be in the bottom two. And the reason I say that is I don't see any weak links whatsoever in this Trackmania Grand League lineup. Before, we had, we spoke a little bit about how Riolu wasn't putting as much time into Trackmania Grand League and therefore could be seen as a weak link. We had people that we could maybe point to, like the likes of... okay. Do we need a
no,
time out here, Shorty?
I'm not. I don't think I should say this. I mean, it's difficult to put in enough time if the game is like running twice as slow. It takes you double the time to train.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely love it. Anyway, but yeah, I don't see any weak links whatsoever in this Trackmania Grand League lineup. We have your very fastest players. We also have your most consistent players. We have your most experienced players. There's no one out there who I can say that these players would be easily challenging, shall we say. Are they going to be putting out the same level of effort and dedication as these other players? I think they would. I think, some of them might be able to match what the others are putting in. I mean, a lot of these players, with the tag of experience also goes, that they might not have the same drive, the same fire in the game anymore. I mean, are we going to say that, for example, Spam's going to have the same fire to compete that he did when he was winning ESWC nearly 10 years ago now? Is Carl Jr. going to have the same fire to compete as when he was winning, world championships, nearly a decade ago? Same with Tween, these people aren't going to have the same fire to compete, but now with that experience, they still know how to do it. So it's one of those ones where I think it's going to be very difficult for anyone to break into this hard shell of, shall we say, the top 10 of Trackmania Grand League. I think the few players who could break into that shell are already in TMGL. Your player like Mudda, who's came in and has challenged, has done really well, has really had that dedication and that will to, perform and improve throughout Trackmania Grand League. I don't think there's many other players out there who can crack that shell you know, given the way things are set up currently. But I'm very interested to see the results of this season in the terms of if I am right and if these players are going to struggle to break into it, because we saw that last season. You know, we did have Link coming up, and Link being, you know, a very, very strong player in his own right. You know, I wouldn't put it this way. I wouldn't say that Grenade, Worker, or Binks are significantly better players than Link, you know? And Link severely struggled last season. It wasn't because he was a bad player or he was playing bad. It's just that the bar that Trackmania Grandleague has set is so high. It has, as I said, your best players of all time in there, you know? Players who, back in the tech scene, we were describing as the best ever. You know, Carl Jr., Pac, Tween. You know, your new age of the very best players and the likes of Gwen, you know, Papu, who's really came on leaps and bounds through Trackmania Grandleague and Zerator Cup especially. So I don't see where the chink in the armour is. You know, I don't see where the opportunity is to break into those positions, especially now that you don't have such a thing to count on as points loss. You know, it's just going to be a heads-up play like for an 8th position to get a lot of points, you know. But who knows? I mean, like with a format like this, anything can happen. You know, you can have a situation where someone gets a lucky win, gets a lot of points. Not that I would attribute them getting good positions solely to luck, but I think their opportunities are limited this season, and I wouldn't be surprised. Pardon me, wouldn't be surprised if 2 of them do fall down. Which 2, I don't know, but 2 of them for sure. Whether they'll get eliminated is another. Whether they'll get demoted is another question. I mean, fucking Big Bucks Grenade there with these attacks, or maybe just gets kept in as that sweet little fucking earner in the back pocket. Who knows? But that's just mad conspiracy theories, of course. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I think 2 of them will go down at the end of the season.
I don't.
Yeah, bold call though.
Yeah, bold call. I mean, that's if Eirik was here, Eirik would respect that. Eirik might be here and Eirik might respect that. Who knows? But I mean, in his absence, I feel I need to make the bold call in and of itself. So I'll put a bit of pressure on you guys. What's your bold call for this season?
Tween demote.
Tween demo. Ooh, I like that. Well, Shorty thinks, I'll say especially why I like that. The one thing which historically has been Tween's almost calling card is that when his back was against the wall, that's when he performed at his best. I mean, he went, I remember one of the World Championships, he went down to the lower bracket in the first match and powered all the way through to the grand final. You know, when Tween has been in a situation where he has really had to pull out the stops, Tween is your man for that. You know, we've seen the last steps where he has had to get a lot of points, and he has never been far away from that, no matter how far.
True.
As long as it was mathematically possible, Tween was very close to doing it, or did do it. So I'll be very interested to see if that does turn out to be true. But Shorty, you're taking a long time to think. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I was thinking about it, and I think I'm just gonna go with it because nothing can be bolder than that. I think I'm just gonna say Dexter back in TMGL.
Ooh.
But how can he be back in TMGL if he's not even in Challenger?
Challenger League, man. Yeah, true.
That is not a bold call. that is logical, if you ask me.
Yeah, well then it's a problem. Fuck. Then it's
Yeah, well, it's
bold
not
anymore.
happening.
But Dexter will probably join Trackmania Grandleague, and I just agree with you. That's not a bold call, because if you see this man playing, I mean, just don't praise him too much, because his ego.
It's very bold to assume Dexter's gonna be motivated for OGL. That's very, very bold if you know Dexter well enough.
Yeah, but he will just crush OGL.
Yeah, if he would train, but that's a very bold move to assume he's playing. But yeah, with Challenger League, obviously, it doesn't really make sense anymore.
Fagley will do well. Ooh, good call.
Here's the thing, Shorty. You know him almost better than anyone in the Trackmania scene. Dexter's already had his chance at Trackmania Grandleague. Now, we've had a little bit of a joke about that, but what does that mean? What happened there? Because we all know he didn't perform very well on Trackmania Grandleague.
He didn't care about it. Didn't train.
So what do you
played very well the first step, lost his points in the end, wasn't motivated anymore, just dropped out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as how it happens. I mean, Here's one thing I really want to see. Right now, they're both coming back to actively playing. There's one other player I would add to this list. I want to see more people trying to crack into that TMGLC. Now there's an extra step being added. Some will view that as an obstruction, but it's another highlight that can be put in the Trackmania scene. And I want to see race hands in it. I want to see him play it. He's always teasing everyone about it.
Is he? Is he teasing about
it?
He
always teases about it.
He's not a competition player.
How do you mean he doesn't want to, or he can't?
He can't, and he doesn't want to because his nerves. If you see him playing, if he plays a competition, his controller goes like this. Like he is so. Absurd. Like no, his mindset is so. He's so absurdly nervous. Also, that's
here's the thing though.
He's worried of disappointment that he's not winning. That is what Hans is. He is probably even on the same level that Dexter is if he's practiced. Yeah, but Hans, I don't know. I'm not sure if he actually had the mental state for that actually.
Here's the thing, right? Now, I have been to a lot of LAN events, and it's a little bit of a different perspective when you can see how people are playing, you know, just physically actually not look at the screen, look at them playing. Massa's like that. And a lot of people don't know that. Massa his hands shake, you know, quite a lot while he plays, you know, and you wouldn't expect that from someone who's, I mean, it sounds like quite a negative term to write, but for a long time, Massa's ego ran wild that he was the best player ever, you know, that in his mind, you know, yet he would be the same player that would sit at LAN events and his hands would be quivering and shaking, you know, while he was playing. And like, here's the thing, right? Hans has performed at events before. I don't think he can't. I think it's more that he doesn't. I think it is more that expectation. I remember he used to say a lot about True Talent Cups. When he came back to actively playing, he would not play in the True Talent Cups because when he did, everyone would expect him to win, and rightly so, because he is one of the very best players in the world, in my opinion. I think in this sort of environment, I think this would be, I mean, maybe, I don't know how much he's kept up with all the kind of Trackmania Grandleague like quirks and nuances and stuff like that, but if Hans was to get on board with Trackmania Grandleague, he would be a terrifying force in that league. He is one of the players that would be able to get into Trackmania Grandleague, and he would take the league by storm, mark my words. But another player who has recently came back, who I don't think is as active, so this is a little bit more of, you know, a pipe dream, but Javi Flyer's back, you know, when a lot of people were saying, when the invites first went out for the first invited Trackmania Grand League season, he was one of the very, very first names on the list. You've got Sander, who's back, who was also a demon at multi-style. You know, you have a lot of these players now who maybe might not be interested, but they are in the player pool again. You know, you have your Sander, you have your Javi Fly, you have your Race Hands. These are all people who might be thinking in the back of their head, I wonder how I'd doing that. You know, the same kind of people who, like I would, for example, when I was always thinking about Zerator Cup, I might not want to play it because I don't like it, whatever, right? But I was always saying to myself, one day I'm really going to try at it just to see what I can do, you know? I'd imagine the same will be for these guys, you know? Whether that kind of little thought in the back of their head will be enough to actually take them into a season, I do doubt, but I would love to see. You know, I would absolutely love to see just one of those guys coming back to show what they're really capable of, because I mean, Sander and Javi Flyer, maybe I could imagine it being like when Karyan came back to Tech and everyone thought he was going to rule the world. You know, it's not going to be like that. He's going to perform well, but he's not going to take over. Race Hands, you know, maybe I think he could do some serious damage, but I would love to see it, you know. That I would watch that, you know. There's not a lot of things in Trackmania Grand League at the moment that make me jump out of my seat and think I would fucking watch that, but I would watch those guys play seriously in Trackmania Grand League, and I think a lot of people would, you know, especially the old guard of the community that's always complaining about everything. Give them one of their heroes to cheer for, you know. Fucking dredge Bergie out of the dead and chuck him in TMGLC, you know. He's probably a bad example, but you know what I mean. Like,
you've seen it in the cup where they invited players, how Bergie played.
Oh yeah, that was a Solary Cup. I remember that. But I don't know. I mean, do you guys ever imagine people like that coming back to play?
Yes, I mean,
sure.
When I was casting Elite Cup, there was Haviflyer on the sheet, and I was like, "Oh, Haviflyer is playing. Let's check." But he didn't show up. I was a bit unfortunate. And then also I was casting like TMM. Sander was playing, and also Haviflyer, the Amigo, was also playing there. And seeing them playing was actually very cool. I mean, they like didn't stomp anyone there like tremendously, but it would just be cool to see a comparison from them back then. There's a Raider Cup 4 winner, then Race Hans, the arguably best United hunter out there, like way back then in 2015, 16, 17, 18, like those times, and then also coming back to the new game now. So seeing him playing against the others, this would just be insane because Hans is a beast. He is able to play dirt on a very, very high level. Then he understands every aspect in this game, full speed dirt. It's incredible. Like also United, he's like also a really, really intelligent player. So seeing him playing against the others, maybe against in the Trackmania Grandleague Challenger League for now, could be very interesting. For me, I can compare him with a playing style a bit like Mime has, like with his versatility, but he has even more to that. I don't know. Hans is a very good player, and I think that he hopefully plays, and maybe he can make it, because he could definitely make it like together with Dexter and even other players into the Challenger League easily. And then the next step will come. But the others, Sander, I don't know.
He's just too old.
I have no idea how competitive he is still on Stadium.
So here's the one thing I'll say about Sander, right? Sander's always been good at everything.
Yeah, I know.
Like, and one thing that actually brings Sander to my mind, I remember when they ran a big United event recently. He had came back out of the blue after not having played any United events for like 500 fucking years and destroyed everyone. Everyone. It doesn't matter your players that had been, no life in United, some new upcoming faces that had been coming in, taking over even a set environment. He was taking world records. He was by far the most consistent. He was unstoppable. And just as he used to be, which I thought was not unsettling, but very interesting to see that he clearly hadn't really lost a step considering how long he'd been out of the game. And the reason I mentioned these two players in connection with Trackmania Grandleague, Sander was a monster in FB weekly races. Haviflyer was as well. I remember the Spam weekly races. There was 3 winners of Spam's weekly race. That was Spam. No, that wasn't Spam. He didn't play, sorry. That's the FB weekly races. So there was...
I mean, he definitely also was the winner. The one hosting it.
Yeah, there was Bren, there was Haviflyer, and there was Revolution. That's felt like who won every event, it felt like. I think Pack and Shorty might have won.
I wonder who got second.
Yeah, well, yes, a lot of seconds for Shorty. But, I mean, you remember what it was like, Shorty. I mean, Haviflyer and Bren, Haviflyer, Bren and Pack, or, a Revolution, it just seemed to be, we're always competing at the top no matter what kind of map or style was thrown at them. And, I mean, all the rest of them are in Trackmania Grandleague now, and he took a step away. So I'm very interested to see what players like him could do when they came back. And, I mean, taking even a longer step back with Sander, but I'm sure you played in some endurance races with him as well and know that I suppose he's maybe cut from the same stock.
I mean, Trackmania is a very difficult game for these kind of things because obviously, like, no train stuff and training stuff is something very difficult. And I think if you talk to, like, no matter who you talk to, I think everyone has like this one kind of guy where they are like, yeah, if he would train more, he would be insane.
Yeah.
So like, it's really difficult to say because you have so many players that like have a really good potential, but they're just not like putting in enough hours to like really like see where they would end up. Like, even someone like me, like, I'm not saying that I would be like a beast, but I didn't like fully train for a competition in years, like I have no idea where I would end up. And there are so many people out there because at the end of the day, this is just a game. And even though like now Nadio is trying to like support the esports scene more with TMGL and stuff, it's still like rather small, you know. It's not like big enough where you can say, oh, I'm pretty good at this game, let me just like throw everything at it, you know. That like, even if you would, like, there are not many people that like would risk that, or like would be willing to put enough time into that. So it's always tough, you know. These kind of discussions are so hard. I mean, obviously Sander is a really good player, and obviously he has a shot at it, right? Like, if he would like fully train for it, I think he would definitely get into TMGLC, and at that point it's hard to say what would happen, but you know,
yeah,
it's a tough. It's always difficult. Like, these kind of talks in Trackmania are so weird, right?
Because you don't have a comparison against or from the players until the time where they're playing against each other. Like, of course, you have people practicing. They have the best time. It's looking good. Like, also, it was SRK saying it is Fagley, who has a huge chance of making it into the it's a huge opportunity for him in the Challenger League. But we don't know how he will perform. If maybe his mindset is wrong, maybe he's too nervous, he cannot play, you know. And then there are more experienced players in there, like Cap, who's just it's just another day at the office. But also, like, being the underdog is always not a bad thing. There are so many things that you have to consider, and that's the same with the Trackmania Grandleague that we have right now. It's cool to see that we have those predictions and also those players coming back, like Sander, Flyer, and Hans. But of course, you could also say, yo, if Shorty trains, he can be in Trackmania Grandleague. I think at the end of the day, the player wins. Yeah, I mean, Carl Jr. wins, yes, but the player
at the end of the day, Carl Jr.
But no, the person who puts in the most effort and also is maybe a bit lucky at the end takes it, you know. And it's not like, oh, okay, I'm gifted, I'm a good player, I can do it, and then I didn't make it. You know, I'm disappointed. Let's see Dexter. Dexter is a very good example of that. You know, that's not a professional mindset that you've had back then.
Yep, definitely.
That is not good.
It's still the same.
Yeah, and
it didn't change.
And with that, unfortunately, with not a change of that, I don't see him going in there. And if a player like Hans, for example, if he's not feeling comfortable with that, and maybe also does not, or feels like not meeting his expectations. I always get those words wrong. I'm like, sometimes my brain is just, you know. If he doesn't feel it, then hey, he's also not the player to go for. He is fast, but does he have the mindset? You know, and that is a very, very important factor. And from the players who just promoted into the Trackmania Grandleague, I think everyone has that mindset, what it takes to like, okay, you know, next week will be better. I can do it. I can like multiply my points by point times 2, point times 3, something like that. And I think it's good. And we're gonna see, and I think it's too early to call that. Predictions are always good and fun, but we will see the development in the OGL and also in the Trackmania Grandleague Challenger. And I'm really, really hyped to see players like from the NA side, Nixotica playing, then also, of course, Fagley playing, which is a huge surprise that he was in there. And unfortunately, a lot of people also like, not underestimate him. Of course, he is an underestimation from his performance, but he takes it as an opportunity. And that is really cool, and I hope that he will perform.
Good way to look at it.
But I cannot also pinpoint a player down. Okay, this player is promoting, this one is demoting. They're like 3, 4, 5 favorites for me that are good. But maybe even my player that I'm casting, who's for me the favorite to take it all, mine, maybe also not win it. Yeah, also Avon can also underperform. We don't know. We're gonna find it out. It's so hard because there are so many variables that you have to consider.
We are going to find it out, but I'm going to ask you guys a final question, just a fun one, because you know I like to ask fun questions. They are a little bit difficult.
Dude,
if you could,
no, it was just the okay, guys, for the VOD or for the watchers here, the VOD, the OBS Ninja is way too dank today. Like, Scotty was not visible. I was purple. It is.
Oh, your floor was blood. I remember seeing that. But yeah, let me ask you guys a question while everyone figures out whether I'm supposed to be quantum foam or not. I don't even know what that is. I'm assuming it's some form of foam. I gathered that at least. But say, like, you know, they talk about it with Formula One. What if they added an extra team to the grid? What if they added 2 more spots to Trackmania Grandleague? If you could fill it with anyone, past or present, who would you fill it with?
17 players is such a bad number, though.
18 players, 2 more spots.
It's still a bad number, though.
It doesn't matter about the number, Shorty. It matters about the 2 players. Any suggestions in the chat as well, besides me? Because we know who.
Can I also make assumptions about their performances?
Yes.
About, so, like, let's say,
like you can say Frostbull, if he came back, he would be like. you could, but here's an example, right? When Carl came back, OG Carl, people didn't expect as much from him, but he put in a lot of effort. And he has become a real challenger, you know. So you can put that. We're not talking about teams SRK. Get on the right page. We're talking about players.
But I'm definitely gonna go with Dexter, assuming he's gonna like be motivated and training because he can, obviously, right? And I kind of want to see OG Carl in there. I want to see him there. OG Carl against Carl Jr. I mean, you know, I've seen like
dad against son.
I've seen like Carl. Like, do you remember like this holiday showdown that like Cam hosted? Where Carl was. It was like one of the first events I ever saw Carl play again in the new game, and you could see him on like normal maps. He was like really good, but like every single map that like had anything new from the new game, he was absolute garbage. He couldn't do anything there. It was like watching a new guy in the new Trackmania for the first time. And obviously now he trained it right, and now he's like also really sick there. So I really want to see him in the TMGL. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Carl and Dexter then.
What are you thinking, Turbo?
SK Gallo. No, I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know, man.
Speed you need.
Yeah.
he was a hell of a player.
Yeah, he was.
Oh, I kind of want to own you. I kind of want to see Onyo.
Onyo. Oh, my
that's
flow.
It's not gonna happen though.
Well, the thing is,
He's what, an Asphalt 9 pro or something like
that?
No.
He's go with the time.
He's busy with real life. He's busy with real life.
And this is hard. The players didn't go with the time. So can you like say, okay, yeah, this player would be a god on ice?
We'll say that they'll adapt as can be reasonably expected for putting a lot of time into it. So I'll give you my first player just to give you a little bit more, I don't know, food for thought. Wally, my lover himself.
Good pick.
My dear lover, Wally. I would. Oh, see when he really put effort in, he was a sight to behold.
Yeah, he is a good pick. Success, yeah, a mini LoL player though. I think that he will not really. Of course, he was good on tech, but I'm not seeing a mini LoL player. And then I can also say Plasterix, Hefest. Hefest is the Trackmania Grandleague.
Do you still remember Xerco? He was real fast going.
or this LuckersTurbo.
Who? Never heard of.
He was illegally fast.
There are so many players.
Oh, Darkbringer.
Yeah, like the full speed pick.
Like,
okay, let's be honest. Karyan would be like actually something would be very interesting. Like, imagine he would put in the effort.
No.
Like that would be, I would want to know what happens with him if he would do that. I would just want to know.
Or Racetar would also be a good one, actually.
Racetar. I think he kind of falls into the same thing as Race Hands. You know, well, not just because of the same first 4 letters, but yeah, that's an interesting one.
I just remembered something I read on 9gag. Like there was like this one guy saying, you know what you should do like in the Olympics? You should just put a random guy, a normal average guy in every single like 100-meter race, so you can like see how bad you would be compared to them. Maybe we should just put someone like Zerator in the TMGL so we can see how bad the average player would compare to them in every race.
Yeah, I mean, I when I think about this, just to address that in Exotic, I think of people who have been very tenured in like the old weekly race formats. You know, that's something I kind of go for there. If you get any more names to throw at me, Turbo, if you just get Racetar.
Nah. I think actually Hans is a good pick. Yeah, if you also adapt it with the game. than Hans. And yeah, well, there are so many players, but I think also a player like Dan or Darkbringer, like really one of the full speed players, like they have also shown that they are absolutely phenomenal.
If his controllers will last a full step.
What was that? The Spanish player that was at the Nest. What was his name again? No, Danish player.
Oh, XX.
XX Rider.
Pile driver. Yeah. XX Rider.
XX Rider,
I miss
man.
that guy. He's doing so well though.
Yeah, fucking go him, man. He looks amazing now.
He is shredded.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, like it's
really
like
wow.
You wouldn't recognize him from.
Yeah,
from
you would actually not recognize.
Now
him.
I get the Nest videos recommended because I talked about them again. Did I watch that over and over? It's so good.
I'll give you my final one, and then I'm going to press you for a final pick. Omnipots, I would love to see coming back.
Good pick.
Omnipots, one of the best tech players that there was around, got top 3 at Gamers Assembly as far as I remember, was also the daddy of Kaki, apparently, that I've heard. He was the kind of OG when it came to those kind of style of maps, and also a supremely well accomplished player on multi-style.
I also have a good one now.
Flyer. Yeah.
Danik B.
Danik B. He was on TMGL as well, and I suppose he kind of fell into that same kind of pit as likes of Dexter and Roland, for example. Just never really stood out as much. Might have performed decently sometimes, but just never, gained got a solid footing in TMGL, I would say.
I also thought about Novice actually SOK because from 0 to Hero final was great. But what I was thinking about Danik B is the fact that he's also good on United, for example. He's also
that's true.
He can adapt very well, but he was also having a lot of breaks. But
and he's still like 10.
Yeah, and he's a very, very good guy. Like really, he's a very nice person to talk to.
Yeah, he's really nice. He went to Prague. Well, sorry, he stayed in Prague and we went to him. That sounds really weird, but I remember he showed up after one day when we were going bowling. He was in like a school uniform, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, how old are you again? Knowing that this guy's been in the Trackmania scene since like
so long,
20 years ago.
As well as Milmi, like also I thought that he's like way older.
Milmi and TMGL, I want it. Get me the drama. Get me the sheer drama of Milmi going into TMGL.
Yeah, there was also an interesting question yesterday in Spam stream. They also had a good conversation. I can just recommend you watching that VOD from yesterday from Spam. Someone asked, is Virtual capable of making it to Trackmania Grandleague, or then just if not Trackmania Grandleague Challenger? I think after seeing his performance in the last couple of days, I think he is. But like, if we exclude all those stuff that he is doing right now, if he was practicing, then yes.
He's like one of those players, like I talked before, like where like if you ask a certain people, they would be like, yeah, if Virtual like really trained, he would be one of those guys. He would be really sick. But you don't know. I mean, yes, he's definitely really good, and he got way better in the new game. Like now that he streams and plays the game more. Could he make it into the Challenger League? That's so hard to answer, like maybe. Definitely has a chance at it, He's not the player where I would say, yeah, definitely if he trains. But he's someone where I would say if he trains, then he definitely has a chance to get into it.
Yeah.
But more than that, so hard to tell.
So what was your final 2 again, Shorty? I forgot now.
Can I like choose whoever I want in there?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Me and Dexter. I'm gonna say myself, if I can choose whoever goes in there, why wouldn't I pick myself, right?
I mean, fair. Shorty.
Like, no matter how bad you are in TMGL, you're still gonna make money.
Yeah.
Only if you're not Orkless.
I mean,
I can find G2. I think the G2 and me, like,
Ironics returns.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I doubt it though.
Dexter has to go in TMGL then.
Yeah, I mean, Dexter, I can see where you're coming from in that. But I mean, I know we talk a lot about how Shorty never trains, but Shorty was a fucking amazing player back when he actually gave a fuck.
Well,
You know?
I was amazing at getting second places. At least,
No,
you know?
but no, we look at the Four Styles Cup where he beat the almighty me, and
This final. This final.
I was recommended that clip actually a couple of days ago, and
Weren't you in
Spam was
voice
so
with Tim?
mad about it.
You were in voice
Yeah.
with Spam, right? Then you
Yeah,
have it,
he
you have
was,
it.
he was.
And then
You
you
have it,
lost.
you have it.
You were so disappointed.
I was, man.
Because he was like, you have it, you win. He has the low speed. And then
Oh no, it's because they added a checkpoint
Yeah.
into the pool.
No, they added finishes
Oh,
at the
man.
bottom
Oh,
of the
I
water.
finished at the pool.
Yeah, but they had to, obviously. Well, anyway,
They had to because it's ranked.
no, they actually had to because you
I
could
know.
like getting a landing bug in the turnaround was so frequent. Like you couldn't do
Mhm.
anything against it. Like, is it my fault that I'm getting a landing bug? You know, like obviously they had to like add some safe finishes.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that beside, I mean, obviously, you know, it wasn't easy to win a cup like that. I mean, considering the other players, which we both had to go through to get to the final of that. But also, I mean, you think the 24-hour races, you know, it's typically been Shorty and Dexter have been the top two players at that.
Oh,
You
that
think,
was a great one.
yeah, I mean, you think also that if I remember correctly, Shorty and Dexter have both respectively been one place from qualifying for a world championship, you know? So it just goes to show. I mean, I think you
Was
both could.
I?
Yeah, I know Dexter was, at least. I know you were very, very close to it. You were in a lower bracket final, I think, where if you qualified to the grand final, you just auto-qualified, I seem to remember.
If you say that, I don't remember that, to be honest.
I'm pretty you were in the match where if you got top two, you were in the world championship. I know that much.
Well, that's unlucky, especially if I don't remember that. Maybe there's a reason why I don't want to remember that.
But yeah, so you and Dexter, that's fine. Turbo, give me two. Give me two.
well, I think also Dexter is a good pick. I don't know, man. Like,
I love asking questions like this because it really makes you think, you know.
like
And there's
Gigantes,
always going to be that
Elephant, and
one player.
Taki Jr. Now I don't know.
Yeah.
No, wait.
There's always going to be that one player which you remember later and you're like, shit, man, I wish I'd said him, you know.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like Race Hunt and probably Dexter even, and then Danik B comes in third, something like that.
Yeah. I'm going with the RTA boys, Wally and Omnipox. I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
But
Wally's a really good pick. Omnipods,
Yeah,
I have
Wally
not
is
seen.
really a
I've
good
only
pick.
seen on tech though.
Omnipox was some fucking player,
I
man.
think Wally was. Wally is really good on multi-style
he
as
is.
well. I mean, in
Very
the
good.
old game, obviously. So, but I think he would just get used to the new game as well. Then
Mhm.
probably.
Yeah, some characters as well. Some of my favourite people to meet up with in future. Yes, this is so it's a water. What'd you say?
Censored.
A thirst is yeah, a thirst extinguisher. So yes, it's basically a fire hydrant. But anyway, I think that's us enough hilarity for today. And the only fitting way which I feel we can end today's podcast is with Turbo, who before this podcast agreed to sing Shorty happy birthday. So I'll leave it to you, Turbo.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Tobi. Happy birthday to you. Heute kann es regnen, stürmen.
I have no idea what that means, but it sounded funny. But yeah, feels
Thank you,
birthday
Carl.
man's in the chat. Big happy birthday to Shorty. Glad you're with us for another year and decided not to check out the building. But yeah,
Okay.
next time we're doing a meet up at Shorty's for his next birthday. Now that
Yeah,
we
I
actually
mean-
all know when it is.
I got enough space for you guys actually, like for both
Yeah.
of you to sleep over even.
I'll sleep in the piano. I'll be fine.
Let's go home
But
again.
yeah, I mean, I don't really have that option.
Look
but
at this bed behind me.
yeah, that bed that you.
I have a
It
ticket,
was actually
I have a
good.
ticket for both of us. And also,
Yeah.
it's only 1 hour.
True.
Now we're talking. One thing before this podcast started, I will share with you guys. I did actually think was quite funny. Was watching Turbo trying to make his bed with one arm, and I did ask Erwin to record it, but I don't think he has. But anyway, before I get I alienate myself from all my friends on in Trackmania. I hope everyone has a really nice evening. Speaking of Erwin, the man behind the screen, as always, bringing us this podcast, this Let's Talk Trackmania on behalf of ESAC.gg. So big thanks to him and to them as always. And we will look forward to seeing everyone next week, hopefully same time and hopefully same place. And hopefully I'll remember to announce it this time. But thank you everyone for joining along. Thank you everyone for engaging with us and asking and answering all of the different questions we have posed, and we hope you have a very nice rest of your week and enjoy Trackmania Grandleague, which you will be able to see Mr. Turbo's beautiful face alongside someone else. Not really sure who they are, but anyway, you'll be able to see his beautiful face, which is the most important part of that broadcast, over on Trackmania Grandleague, which I'm assuming will be in M&M Gaming's channel. If not, check out the streaming page of Trackmania Grandleague and check that out, as that's most likely what we'll end up mentioning at some point next week. But we hope everyone has a nice week, and we will see you all then. Good night for now.
Good night.